Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the United States Bill of Rights. Stand warned. You ever hear a British person use the word Nuffink? I'll use it in a sentence. I've looked all around for marmalade, but I couldn't find Nuffink. You know, you would think for a country that spawned the language, they would quit trying to add letters that don't belong in words into words. You know, when you talk about the word through, you know, we spell it thruff, but, you know, why are all these extra letters in there? So, you know, I swear to God, you know, British people, they invented the language simply to cheat at Scrabble. I guarantee it. On a side note, I was talking to this girl once, and I asked her where she worked, and she said, "Oh, I'm a barista." And I responded with, like a British lawyer? So the thing is, I don't drink coffee, so I was obviously slow on the uptake on that one. Welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. I am your host, the Madman. I would like to remind you that I have a Patreon over here, patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio, all one word. Please become a patron. I would appreciate it very much. Thank you. I also have a Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all in a word. I would appreciate if you send me money that way as well. Follow me on social media at Denalitsaw, which is the word wasteland spelled backwards. On Twitter. What's that, Twitter? Go to Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook and at SLRobbins13 on Instagram. I would appreciate that. I also have books available for digital download on Amazon.com. Search for the author Scott L. Robbins with two T's, or two B's. Two T's and two B's. I got the Exit 13 series. I got the Ravings of a Madman, and I got the Bunny Years, a memoir. You may want to close that door there, EK, because this thing I'm about to say here. Oh no, the monkeypox is going to get us. We're all going to get the monkeypox. What are we going to do? Well, you know what? You don't really have to worry about it. I certainly don't have to worry about it. Basically, if you're anything but a gay man, you don't have to worry about it. What's interesting though is it's not contracted through sexual contact per se. It's usually skin on skin contact. It's a pox, not a STD. As it is. But here's the thing you got to understand about gay men is that, or any man really, if you ask a man between the ages of 15 and 45, do you want to have sex? The answer is yes. The answer always and forever is yes. He could have the flu. He could have been working, 16-hour days for a week with the flu, getting 3 hours of sleep a night, and you can wake him up after he gets home from the gym after a half hour of napping, wake him up in the middle of the nap and say, do you want to have sex? And the answer will be yes. And so when it comes to two or more gay men getting together, all right, there's no woman in there to say, oh, I have a headache or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because men always want to do that. And so when it comes to, the way that gay men, interact with each other is like, they're really, really slutty. I'm sorry to say, really slutty. And, I know it's people don't want to talk about that. They don't want to tell people you shouldn't have sex or you should at least have less sex. People don't want to talk about that, but maybe you should think about doing that until this thing chills down. All right. I don't know if you've seen that show Letterkenny, but there's these two gay gym rats that are always, talking about, how many guys they bang. They're married to each other, but they still bang lots of other dudes. You know what I'm saying? And so they have this one episode where they all get STDs, and Riley and Jonesy think it's the end of days. They think their whole world is over, but these gay guys are sitting there and they're like, how many have we had? I trying to remember a time where I didn't have. Is that bad? And it's like, oh, you're so bad. Oh, you're so bad. And yeah, that's bad. Slow it down, guys, please, for your own safety. All right. I know I can't stop you from being gay, even if I wanted to, but I mean, it's you got to chill out for your own safety. And I don't like how the news is like dancing around the topic of like which communities these, this particular monkeypox is affecting. But if you're part of the at-risk community, I would assume you would want to know you're part of it. Anyway, all that just reminds me of a joke that a corpsman told me in the Navy, which was, what do you call a straight man who tests positive for HIV? A liar.
Not a sailor?
Not a sailor. Asshole. He's a liar. And the joke is that, you know, if you test for HIV and you claim to be heterosexual, you're lying. Anyway, a little drink of water here. All right. That's probably the most risque thing I'm going to say here today. EK. Just
people also got AIDS from sharing needles.
Yeah, but that's like everyone who gets an abortion is clearly somebody who's a product, you know, of rape and incest. You're talking about a very small percentage of the people who contract it that way. All right. Anyway, I want to move on to this next topic because it's burning a hole in my brain. I am sick of holding back on this particular topic, so I'm just going to say it. I have had enough of the whole world pretending that Europe and Asia are two separate continents. Who do you think you're fooling? What is it, the Ural Mountains that separate Asia from Europe? How come the Rocky Mountains or the Appalachian Mountains or the Pyrenees don't create new continents? I don't know why we, humanity, have put up with this for hundreds, if not thousands of years. I think it's just to make the number of continents the lucky number 7. After all, no one really uses or lives on Antarctica, probably out of fear of what we might find there. Ever hear of Operation High Jump? That's a whole other rant. But no one uses Antarctica, and it's still counted as a continent, but not Greenland. Australia is counted as its own continent, but England is part of Europe. New Zealand is considered part of the Australian continent, but from my understanding, New Zealand is on an entirely different tectonic plate. Europe and like 90% of Asia is on the same tectonic plate. England is part of Europe, and Australia is its own continent. But Madagascar is part of Africa and not its own continent. I know Australia is way bigger than both Madagascar and England, but if size or land mass is the requirement for continent status, if that's the case, what's the square miles required to make a continent? Because Europe is arguably the smallest continent, even though we all know it's actually part of Asia, or vice versa. One of you continents needs to make a decision and concede. Here's another thing. You can drive from Europe to Asia to Africa, or North America to South America. That's it. Everything else you need a boat or a plane for. Africa is considered a continent because of the Suez Canal, and South America is separate from the North because of the Panama Canal. But there's not even a canal between Europe and Asia. So I'm getting really sick of this farce, Europe, and I'm sorry, but I think you're just Asia, and the California of Asia at that. And I think this little rant belongs in every geography textbook in the world because you know I'm right. I feel better. I feel better now that I've said that. It's been eating at me. Been eating at me for eons now. Audio okay? Yeah, good. Okay. Just fine-tuning it, EK. Fine-tuning it. So I was thinking about Who Framed Roger Rabbit, you know, as we all do every day. I was thinking about Who Framed Roger Rabbit and that scene where Roger handcuffs himself to Eddie. As you know, after he handcuffs himself to Eddie, a little comedy of errors ensues, and then they try to hide Roger from the weasels, you know, by hiding in the sink and whatnot. Excuse me. Eventually, they slip the weasels and head to the bar where Eddie is able to use, burp, burp, where Eddie is able to use a saw to cut out of the handcuffs. And he says to Roger, "Can you hold still?" Roger complies by slipping his hand out of the handcuffs. Eddie notices and yells, "You mean you could have gotten out of those cuffs at any time?" And what does Roger say? Roger says, "No, not at any time, only when it was funny. Apparently, these are the rules that toons have to live by. And if you can only perform a feat like that only when it is funny, I have to ask, funny to whom? Roger found it funny, but Eddie didn't find it funny. Dolores didn't find it funny. We as the audience found it funny, and Roger found it funny, but apparently no one else. So it's not even what is objectively funny that allows for these magical toon powers. So perhaps that whole scene was Roger subtly breaking the fourth wall, Deadpool style. You also have to keep in mind that toons are also all but immortal. Short of being dipped by Judge Doom, you can do anything you want to toons and they will survive. Bang their heads with frying pans, throw them off buildings, whatever you want, and they will live through it. So I ask you, why were Mickey and Bugs skydiving with parachutes? Probably because even though they would survive that fall, it's probably painful. And don't forget, Roger asked for an apology for all those times Eddie yanked his ears because it's painful to him. Then again, Roger was shoving that file through his ears and it didn't seem to feel pain. It seemed more like a ticklish sensation because it was funny. So now I'm going to get down to my point. Roger is constantly on Eddie's case to laugh. Well, where's your sense of humor and all that? Because when a toon is around someone who cannot or will not laugh at them, it makes everything the toon does painful to them. When Roger bangs himself on the head repeatedly and no one finds it funny, it's actually painful for him or any other toon. I suppose it depends on the toon. After all, his wife is not exactly a comedic character. So when Roger breaks away from Eddie to entertain the drunks in the bar, he's just trying to escape the agony of being around Eddie all the time. And as he's doing the silly song, the record starts skipping and he's singing the words, no pain, and breaking dishes on his head. So it's not like Roger wants to be funny. Roger needs to be funny so that he doesn't become the kind of evil and cynical type of toon like Judge Doom. It's a pretty messed up thing if you really think about it, and you think about it too hard the way I tend to do. I think I've said it before, but I will say it again. In the alternate reality where that movie takes place, as soon as an animator drew a cartoon that came to life, humanity should have stopped animation altogether until they found out why life springs from that kind of artistic venture. It's kind of like Frozen. Do you want to build a snowman? No! No! Look what happened last time we built a snowman. We created life out of nothing, and creating life comes with responsibilities. Whew. Damn, it's been hot lately. Right, the Earth's just magically getting hotter. You know, it's always funny when summer comes around because the global warming activists come out and they say, the summer heat, yeah, that's because of global warming. It's like, geez, we've never had summer before. That's why it's hot, because of global warming. You really don't hear a whole lot from the climate activists during winter. You know what I'm saying? You can't go out there and picket with signs and 3 feet deep of snow. And global warming's a problem. The message doesn't really come across that well. But when you're talking about like during the middle of the summer where everyone's sweating their balls off like today, it's like they're all the reason why it's hot is because of all the carbons we're spewing into the atmosphere. We're making it hotter. And all the electricity I'm using on my air conditioning is coming from coal power. You know what I'm saying? You people are out of your minds. It's the same thing with these Tesla, these electric vehicles. When you charge them, you're charging them from your homes, And where does that electricity come from? In a lot of places, it's for us, it's a nuclear power, but for other places in America, there's coal power. So you're not really saving anything. If you're charging your car at home and you're provided power by a coal plant, okay? So I'm getting tired of all this climate alarmism, all right? I'm getting really sick of it. Do you know it's winter right now in the southern hemisphere? It's cold. It's friggin' snow. There's snow in Australia. You know what I'm talking about? That's how the planet works. It's hot on the top side, and it's cold at the bottom side. You know, and these temperatures, they create different pressure systems, and the pressure systems create, you know, what we call weather. All right, that's how weather works. And you know what? There's tons and tons and tons and tons of ice on this planet. All right, even in our ice age, there is still flowing water on this planet. Yeah, there was less water, but it was still a lot of water, a lot of flowing water. All right, you think that we have this some sort of like this godlike status where we can affect the planet like that? That's not the case. All right,
the arrogance of man.
Yeah, it's the arrogance of mankind, as EK says. We're so arrogant to think that we can do that. All right, because you know, sooner or later, this planet's going to wipe us clean. Or the sun's going to go a red giant. It's going to consume us. and going to burn up the planet. You know, you should be more concerned about that. All right, because we don't know exactly when that's going to happen. We can estimate when we think it might happen. And think, oh, yeah, it's thousands of years from now. But you don't know. It could be tomorrow. All right? You should be more worried about stuff like that. And I'm just tired of people thinking that, you're going to stop all this global warming stuff by creating high gas prices all over the world. You know, people will be like, oh, well, gas is so expensive now, I'm just not going to buy it anymore. That's not how things work. Eventually, what's going to happen is we are going to come up with better ways to prevent like pollution and reduce carbon emissions and so forth. All right. You just got to give the people time. You got to let those electric vehicles, you got to let them get so cheap enough, let the market, let those things get cheap enough where the average person can buy them. It takes time to get to these places. And trust me, humanity wants to get to that point, especially when you're talking about global leaders like the United States in Western culture. We are all very interested in it. But let's face it, the biggest polluters in the world are people like China and India. All right? They're the ones who are really destroying are really creating the global warming problem, but no one wants to go over to China and tell them to knock it off. Nobody has the guts to. All right? So it's all on us. So we all have to pay higher gas prices because China's just dumping stuff in the ocean willy-nilly and spewing up all sorts of coal. You know, once people start to realize that like nuclear power is a much better alternative, much cleaner source of energy, maybe people will be a little bit more likely to say, hey, nuclear power is pretty safe, all things considered. Yeah, there have been some accidents and so forth, but generally, it's safer and better for the environment than things like coal. So I'm just tired of all these people complaining. I know it's hot. I know everyone's tempers are high. I know your blood's up. I get it. But you're trying to focus my anger at that, and I'm just like, no. God bless Willis Carrier. God bless electricity, and God bless air conditioning. I know it's hot. I'm hot. It's hot in here. Woo. Getting angry. I got one more thing, a couple more things actually I want to talk about. One is that I've been having some real messed up dreams lately. And I'll tell you why. I watched this YouTube channel called Slapped Ham, and they have a bunch of quote unquote ghost videos and alien videos and all that stuff. And so I was watching this one, somebody had this one as like a ghost horse. And it was basically just a horse walking in the distance of a camera, and it looked kind of palish because of the black and white nature of the camera. and it looked almost ethereal. The horse looked kind of ethereal because it was a little bit in the back where the light wasn't quite hitting it right. And people were like, oh, it's possibly a ghost. The rumor behind this video is that a horse died recently, and then they saw the ghost of the horse around the farm. It was like, no, horses are just assholes. And one of them probably got out of its pen. I don't know if you know that. Horses like to do that from time to time. They're animals with their own personality. They're awful, disgusting, evil creatures. And so the nightmares I've been having has been ghost horses. The idea that I might run across a ghost. And the scare, I would rather come across a human ghost. I would be less scared of that than I would be a ghost horse. Now, here's the one thing that really crept up into my dreams and made me freak out. If there ever lived a unicorn on this planet, there could be a ghost of a unicorn somewhere.
The most terrifying thing.
The most terrifying thing that wakes me up in a cold sweat in the middle of the night. So I just wanted to share with you what's been, plaguing my psyche lately. Terrifying. Horses are awful. I hate them. I hate them more than I hate Wyoming.
Horses from Wyoming.
A unicorn, a ghost unicorn from Wyoming. Terrifying. Terrifying. So did you hear about the Choco tacos? EK?
Are they back?
No, I think they're getting rid of them.
What?
Yeah, because it's a cultural appropriation or something like that. I know. It's funny because there's a lot of people on the internet, they're all bent out of shape about these Choco tacos. It's like, this is where you're drawing the line? This is where it's too much? It's like, I've had enough of all this political... Not the Choco tacos is the final straw. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't even like Choco tacos. But I can understand somebody wanting to have one. It's ice cream. How bad could it be? I just don't like eating my ice cream that way. And here's the thing about like cultural appropriation and stuff like that. Cultural appropriation is what makes America awesome. All right. If the Italian immigrants didn't come here and start making pizza, we wouldn't have pizza. If the Hispanic immigrants didn't come bringing their tacos, we wouldn't have tacos. All right. That's the point of a melting pot like America. That's the point of it, is to get all the best stuff from all these other cultures. It's not like America really took off. It's not like McDonald's sells haggis. You know what I'm saying? Scottish cuisine is awful. It's awful. And we're like, okay, you're welcome to come here, Scotland, but don't expect us to eat your damn food. I don't want to eat haggis. But pizza, lasagna, bene, linguine, all of that. We get to take the best of all cultures and have it on our dinner table. We can hold hands with all these people from all these different cultural backgrounds. And Lord, I thank you for this food from all over the world, the best food from all over the world that is brought here by immigrants to the finest country on earth. Amen. And you dig into your tacos, you dig into your pizza, you dig into your hamburgers, which come from Germany, I think. All right? So every time you have a hamburger, you got to yes, you have some German guy, that is cultural appropriation. And that's more Russian, I suppose. It was like when, remember when like Russia invaded Ukraine and everyone started dumping out their Russian vodka? And it's like, are you dumb? Have you lost your mind? They already made that money, and you're just wasting the vodka. All right? And vodka's great. You don't have to become a communist to like vodka. All right? Just like you don't have to get this is awful. You don't have to get dysentery to like tequila. You know what I'm saying? Alcohol, for example, a lot of people drank it. It became like a thing because it was usually they used distilled water. It was cleaner water in alcohol than you can get, pretty much anywhere at some point. And that's why everyone was drinking beer and stuff like that, because it was a better way to get clean water into you than just drinking out of the river where everyone's pissing and washing their clothes. You know what I'm saying? All right. Anyway, so I've had enough of all that as well. So let's go ahead and get into the news worth knowing. I'm kind of in a pissy mood today, so I may just go quickly through this. Thank you, EK. Got the stinger going. So, New York City teen girls arrested on hate crime charges for an anti-white assault. But I thought, you can't be racist to white people. Anyway, so here's the story. 2 black teenage girls in New York City were arrested Tuesday and charged with hate crimes over the brutal attack of a 57-year-old white woman riding a bus in Queens earlier this month. New York Police Department said that a 15-year-old girl and a 16-year-old were arrested at 9:20 a.m. on Tuesday in the confines of the 102nd Precinct. They each face 2 counts of assault while carrying out a hate crime and aggravated harassment while carrying out a hate crime. Their names are not released because of their ages. Obviously, a third suspect, they described, that had bright green hair, still being sought. NYPD released a video and a video of the 3 girls, black girls, walking down the street earlier this month, saying investigators were seeking information on the suspects sought in the July 9 hate crime incident. At about 6:50 p.m., police said that the 3 of them, the then unidentified individuals, approached a 57-year-old female passenger on the southbound Q52 MTA bus in the vicinity of Jamaica Avenue and Woodhaven Boulevard and struck her in the head with an unknown object, causing a laceration and bleeding. They carried out the attack while making anti-white statements, police said. The individuals fled on foot, and the victim was removed to Jamaica Hospital in stable condition. The woman received 3 staples on her head because of her injuries. The New York Post identified the victim as 57-year-old Jill LaCroix, who told the outlet that she has 3 biracial children. I don't see how that's relevant. Is a grandmother of 5 and currently works as a bartender.
I don't see how any of that's relevant.
None of that's relevant. The woman recounted the attack to the newspaper, saying the teenage assailants with green hair began shouting that she, quote, hates white people and the way they talk, and then accused her of being a fan of former President Trump. She's living in New York. Probably not. Okay. Quote, before they hit me, the girl with green hair said, you probably like Trump, don't you? LaCroix said in an interview published on July 17th. I said, I love him. I didn't see which one hit me first. Jeez Louise. She went on to say, the one with the green hair, she was saying she hates white people, the way they talk, hates white skin, the way their skin cracks. Saying she was gangsta, the woman added. Saying she was on her way to visit her mother at the time. She went on to say, quote, I was the only white person on the bus, and by the time we started passing St. John's Cemetery on Woodhaven, she started in on me saying, that's where I'm going to bury you. Well, that's very considerate. That's probably expensive to bury somebody in New York, in the city. Yeah. Quote, she had a bag from Bath and Body Works. I thought she said you hate white people. And she took out a scrub and she was going to beat me with it. It was tangerine. What? LaCroix told the newspaper. She said, you're going to get what you deserve. All white people are going to get what they deserve. It was crazy, she said. It was tangerine. It's like, oh, it was pretty nice. I would have liked to have had it. I was like, oh, where'd you get that club? Oh, that's very cute. I like that. That's what's funny about adrenaline is like you will remember crazy details like that. It was a tangerine color. Anyway, New York PD's hate crime task force is investigating the incident. In a tweet about the arrest on Tuesday, NYPD hate crime task force credited a tipster for helping track down the 2 juveniles regarding this anti-white assault, as the 3rd perpetrator remains outstanding. So any kind of racism is awful. And I don't know why certain minorities think that they have like license to do this kind of stuff. Because even racist white people don't behave that way. If you flip those races, even racist white people, they know it's like, I probably can't get away with that. You know what I mean? Especially, on a bus like that in New York City. And so it just irritates me that somehow, there's this anti-white racism. Like we all did something wrong 100, 200 years ago or something. I don't know. I wasn't alive then. Let's go on to this next story. Idaho sheriff sends dire warning to idiotic Biden officials. We are on the cusp of complete collapse. An Idaho sheriff said Wednesday his county is experiencing a crisis level of drug overdoses, especially fentanyl and methamphetamine that comes across the southern border. Canyon County, Idaho Sheriff Kieran Donahue joined Fox and Friends First to discuss how drug cartels are destroying his community. Quote, we're at a crisis stage, quite frankly. We have never seen the numbers of seizures and the amounts of any drug, including methamphetamine, like we're seeing in fentanyl. And of course, we're still dealing with the methamphetamine crisis we've been in for years, he told Carly Shimkus. Donahue said that the number of hospitalizations of deputies just from being in contact with the potent drug. The sheriff said these cartels are well established and exist in communities throughout the United States. There's not a day or night goes by that we're not dealing with someone associated with the Mexican cartels. At least in our community and communities throughout the state of Idaho, we're at war with the cartels, he said. Donahue described how cartels tried to kidnap his then 16-year-old daughter during his time on an FBI gang task force. He said the plot was interrupted before it could be carried out. My God. Quote, my family's been threatened by these gangs, by the cartel membership. They tried to kidnap my daughter years ago. She was 16 years old. Thankfully, that case got unraveled before it actually happened, he explained. Donahue concluded that calling the DHS Secretary Mayorkas idiotic for claiming that the southern border is secure and said the administration is hiding from the truth about what's going on at the border. This is absolutely ridiculous to think this border is secure and we're safe in our communities. We are not. We are on the cusp of a complete collapse, he said. Yeah, this is a serious issue. The fentanyl, you can sit here and like talk about how fentanyl is being shipped in from China. You could talk about that all day long because China's like, yeah, they're in America, they're a bunch of cheeseburger eating junkies. That's the way they look at us. They're a bunch of fat cheeseburger eating junkies. And so that's what they're going to do is they're going to start shipping in fentanyl, help kill us. But, we have our own problems because, they're kind of right. We're all overweight junkies in the sense that methamphetamine is, kind of a big deal for in America. And that's also very bad. Also very bad. Anyway, we talked about it last week about how, Mayorkas said the border is secure, and it's not. It's not. To continue with this next story, Border Patrol pushes back on Mayorkas' claims that the southern border is secure. They are liars, quote unquote. Multiple Border Patrol agents are pushing back against the Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas' claim that the southern border is secure, just as agents on the front lines of the historic migrant crisis are struggling to cope with the overwhelming numbers facing them. There are more than 207,000 migrant encounters in June alone. Just encounters. 207,000 encounters. The fourth month in a row where the number of encounters breached the 200,000 mark. But Mayorkas, speaking at the Aspen Security Forum on Tuesday, dismissed claims about the border not being secure. Quote, look, the border is secure, he said. We're working to make the border more secure. That has been a historic challenge. He then faulted lawmakers who have said they won't commit to a broad immigration legislation until the situation is addressed. Yeah. So, that's just basically a continuation of the last story as well. Not only are, the illegal immigrants coming in, as I mentioned last week, but, also drugs and they're importing their crime. It's not good. It's not good. We got to get serious about this kind of stuff or it's going to be, continue to be a problem. Americans are going to die. Even illegal immigrants in the United States will die if we don't get this stuff together. It's like, I don't like illegal immigrants, but I don't want them dead. Anyway, let's talk about Joe Rogan for a second. Let's go to the next story, talk about Joe Rogan slamming TikTok. It ends with China having all your data, quote unquote. Joe Rogan expressed concerns Tuesday that TikTok, one of the most used social media apps in the world, poses a unique threat to Americans' data privacy and safety. TikTok is owned by ByteDance, a Chinese company. China's civil military fusion policy and 2017 national intelligence law requires private businesses in China to share information and data at the request of the Chinese government. Quote, I read TikTok's terms of service. I went down a TikTok rabbit hole yesterday. This is so crazy. That's crazy, man, Rogan said on his last episode of the Joe Rogan Experience. Is it good or bad? Interjected the guest podcaster and comedian Theo Von. Bad, Joe Rogan responded. Listen to this. This is from TikTok's privacy policy, Rogan said. It said, we collect certain information about the device you use to access the platform, such as your IP address, user region. This is really crazy, man. User agent, he went on to say, mobile carrier, time zone settings, identifiers, and for advertising purposes, model of your device, the device system, network type, device IDs. your screen resolution and operating system, app and file names and types. Wow. So all of your apps and your file names, all the things you have filed away on your phone, they have access to that. File names and types, keystroke patterns or rhythms. Wow. So they're monitoring your keystrokes, which means they know every effing thing you type. Yeah. Battery state audio settings are connected to and connected audio devices. Where you log in from multiple devices. You're able to use your profile information to identify your activity across devices. It may also associate you with the information collected from your devices other than those you log into the platform, Rogan said. Meaning that they could use other computers that you're not even using to log into TikTok. So if you have like a laptop, you're not on TikTok like I do, they could suck data off of that. That's what you're agreeing to when you download and start using TikTok. Vaughn asked Rogan, it's insane. Do you think they created TikTok just on purpose to have all that? 100%, Rogan responded. Just tell me how it ends, man. Theo Vaughn. It ends with China having all your data, Rogan said. Ain't gonna spell it out for this guy, huh? What's going on in China? I don't know if you've seen this, but they pulled tanks in front of banks to stop people from effing rioting because they just took all their monies. Rogan also mentioned the risk of that posed freedom by China's digital currency, which it weaponizes to control its population. If you see what's going on over there with the digital currency, what they have is the ability to tell you can't buy gas. Like, hey, Theo, we don't like the way you're living your life, so you're not going to be able to buy a plane ticket, Rogan said. You know, you can say a lot of things about Rogan. Maybe he's taking one too many blows to the head. Sure, but I mean, he's well informed. You know, the guy does read the news. He does read stuff. You know, and he may be a conspiracy theorist. He may smoke too much weed and smoke DMT and all that. But, you know, it's not like he's uninformed. He does a lot of things, but he still keeps up with this stuff. And I think that's obvious. That's why it's like I've never wanted to use TikTok. As soon as I heard TikTok, what's that? Who puts it out? Where's it from? It's from China? No, thank you. Why can't they just hack into the Office of Personnel Management here in the U.S. like apparently they already have and get all my information that way like everybody else? All right? I mean, I know the data's forfeit. I know the information about me is forfeit. But I'm not going to go out there and, hand it to them. Plus, I have an attention span longer than 30 seconds. So TikTok doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me. All right, let's do two more stories before we get out of here. I like to leave on happier notes. Alligator found in Florida Sheriff's Office parking garage is relocated. An alligator trying to catch a ride with Florida law enforcement officials was relocated earlier this week. Oh, you're signing up for a ride-along or something. On Sunday, the alligator was found by dispatchers in the parking garage of the Pinellas County, of course, it's Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. According to a Facebook post from the Sheriff's Office. In the Facebook post, the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office called the incident an on-brand Florida story. On-brand Florida story. Yes, it is. Quote, after a long night of responding to 911 calls, dispatchers were serenaded by this scaly gal in the parking garage at the Sheriff's Administration Building in Largo, Sheriff's Office said. In pictures posted on Facebook, the alligator appeared to be small. Yeah, it was only maybe 3 feet, 2.5, 3 feet long. Okay, it was more of a croak than a serenade, but they went on to say, but the message was clear. We've been trying to reach you and your vehicles about your vehicle's extended warranty. There's some cop that running the social media accounts who's having the time of his life with something like this. Oh, man. In the post, the Sheriff's Office said the dispatchers called deputies who were able to remove the alligator from the premises. Deputy Duckers, with the assistance of one of our Sheriff's volunteer patrol members, safely relocated the alligator. The post said, see you later, Gator. This is not the only alligator in a place where it should not be. Earlier this week, an 11-foot alligator had been removed from beneath a Jeep on a homeowner's property in Rotonda, Florida. As deputies were wrangling the gator, it let out a huge roar, which was captured on video. And the reason why I like this story is because, you know, it's not like they wanted to kill it. You know, they wanted to get it out, you know, safely. It's kind of like, you know, it's getting in the hotter months. That's when bugs start trying to get into your house. And there was this bee that must have came in through the door one time. And I was sitting there and this bee just kind of like landed on the table right in front of me. I was like, kind of like, but I was like, do I kill it? So I got the fly swatter and I came up and I just like scooped it up and threw it outside. You know, I don't necessarily want to kill it, but if it's, you know, if it's a spider and it scares me and I can't, you know, and just I react and smash it, you know, I feel bad about that. And I think we should protect the lives, because spiders, they're a good thing. They eat things like hornets that sting and so forth. You know, it's like, you don't necessarily want to kill, but I mean, and you should try to save the life, you know, if you want to. You don't want to get up to heaven and they're like, you killed one too many spiders, madman. Sorry, can't get in. Down you go.
You don't want to get up to heaven and then be looking into the eight eyes of the spider god.
Yeah, the spider god's looking at you like, ooh. All right, one more video and then we'll get out of here. Massachusetts police video shows officer saving choking baby. A Massachusetts police officer saved a choking 2-month-old infant Wednesday night after the child's parents rushed the baby to the local police department. Officer Ryan Porter encountered the parents as they rushed their infant inside the lobby of the Framingham Police Department shortly before 6 p.m. on Wednesday. A video posted to social media account shows the parents seemingly out of breath, handing their child over to the officer after immediately meeting them at the door. Porter, who serves as a CPR instructor for the department, that's lucky, proceeded to evaluate the baby as it struggled to breathe. To breath. They misspelled it. Copy editor, Fox. Moments later, the infant stopped breathing, and the officer, okay, so it stopped breathing while it was in there. Okay. And Officer Porter delivered a series of back blows, which they train you to do in CPR classes, which cleared the obstruction and allowed the infant to breathe, the department wrote in a Facebook post. The video then cuts to Porter calmly rocking the baby as the father smiled. So, all right, dude, give me back my baby. The parents apparently relieved.
Oh, it's over.
Yeah, it's over, pal. Give it back. Parents apparently relieved, with the father bent over, breathing as the mother placed a hand over her heart, seemingly still attempting to catch their breath and looking relieved. Yeah, I bet. Quote, this happy outcome is a credit to the fast actions of the police and Officer Porter. Framingham Police Department said, well done. The identity of parents and the infant were not given, obviously. I couldn't imagine. That must have been terrifying for those parents. Because think about it, it's like, it probably like started choking, because choking is not necessarily like immediately you're choking, but you'll get something caught in there and it's like you got a little bit of wind going through and so forth. And they're like, should we call 911? And it's like, no, let's just get in the car and drive it to the police station. They could have been like, take it to a hospital. It's like, no, the police station's closer. You know? Imagine those panicked parents. I love this picture. The dads are like, whew. Yeah. Nightmare. That could have been a very bad scenario. And you know what? When people join the police department, I guarantee you it's for moments like that. You know? They don't all have fantasies of becoming like, you know, Dirty Harry or anything like that. You know, or, you know, like a vigilante cop or something like that. They want to help their community because things like that happen. You know, maybe they're feeding their kid mothballs. I don't know. But, you know, the kid started choking. They took him to the police, and police are trained to handle those kinds of situations. And police are trained on all sorts of things. First aid, CPR, and stuff like that. And even the more dangerous stuff. You know, I pulled like how to walk up condescendingly to a car. I'm sure they have a class on that. You have any idea how fast you were going? I'm going to let you go this time because I got to get to my CPR class, because that's more important than being a condescending dick on the side of the road over 4 miles an hour over the limit. You know what I'm saying? And that's not what cops sign up to do. They don't want to. Sure, there's some that want to be the bully, you know, a legal bully. and join the police force. But I think for the most part, I think they all just want to help and serve their community and save lives. It's like I like to say, it's like sometimes we kill, but the real job is to save lives. So this is going to be the end of the show. I want to remind you again that I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. $3 a month. It's nothing. It's nothing. It's a beer. It's a beer at a bar. $3 a month to become a patron. I would appreciate that very much. Or you can send me money through the Cash App. Use hashtag shockmonkeyradio. Joe Rogan, hit me up on Cash App. Send me some money. You can follow me on Twitter at Denalitsaw, which is the word wasteland spelled backwards. On Twitter, DNALETSAW. I'm also on Facebook, Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook. And you can also find me on Instagram at SLRobbins13 at Yahoo. At SLRobbins13 on Instagram. I'm on something else. I'm halfway out the door already. Anyway, this has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman, and believe it or not, I love you.